Shedeur Sanders, fifth-round pick, son of Deion Primetime Sanders, walking headline, walking highlight reel, takes the field for his NFL preseason debut. And boom, the game pulls in 2.2 million viewers. The most-watched preseason game in a decade. You couldn't write a better start. You had the narrative. You had the media heat. You had casual fans tuning in just to see what Primetime Jr. was about. And Shadur delivered. He was sharp, composed, and confident. Like a dude who's been prepping for this moment his entire life. Spoiler. He has. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. So what do the Browns do next? They bench him. Yes, bench him. They took a ratings magnet, a cultural phenom, and stuffed him back on the depth chart behind Dillon Gabriel, a guy who, no shade, hasn't exactly lit the world on fire. What happened next? Viewership cratered, fan engagement plummeted, and Browns owner Jimmy Haslam reportedly blindsided by the backlash. Because this wasn't just a football decision, it was a business catastrophe. We're in a new NFL era now. This isn't your dad's league where only stats and wins matter. It's about who moves the needle. And Shadur? He moves it like an F5 tornado. He doesn't just attract football fans. He brings in TikTok teens, sneakerheads, college sports diehards, and everyone in between. His debut wasn't just good TV. It was an event. And when you follow up an event by putting the star back on the shelf, that's not strategy. That's sabotage. Let's not pretend this is just about easing in a rookie. The numbers are too loud to ignore. Since Shadur was benched, the Browns have seen a double-digit drop in preseason ratings. Merch sales that spiked after his debut flattened. Social media buzz, ghost town. You'd think the league would be pushing harder to get this guy in front of more eyeballs. But instead, Cleveland decided to play it safe, citing roster structure, development plans, and other vague coach speak. Meanwhile, the fans are sitting at home like, where the hell is Shadur? And you can feel the frustration boiling. The city of Cleveland has waited decades for a spark, a reason to believe. A quarterback who's not just decent, but electric. They had it, they saw it, and now they're watching it rot on the bench while viewership nosedives and rivals start circling like vultures. Because, yeah, other teams have noticed. You don't think the Rams or Raiders are watching this unfold, waiting for Shadur to ask for a trade? You don't think brands like Nike, who already made their move, are side-eyeing the Browns for wasting their investment? This isn't just football politics. It's business malpractice. You had the rare rookie who brought juice to the preseason, something usually reserved for hardcore fans and people bored on a Sunday afternoon. And instead of capitalizing on the Shadur Sanders effect, Cleveland treated him like an afterthought. So now Jimmy Haslam is facing an uncomfortable truth. The NFL doesn't need Cleveland to be good. But Cleveland desperately needs someone like Shadur to be relevant. Because when he's on the field, it's not just a game, it's content, it's personality, it's brand power. When Shadur flexes at wrist, it trends. When he hits a post route in stride, TikTok edits pop up before the ball hits the turf. He's one of those rare players who doesn't need hype. He is a hype. And what does the team do? Throw him behind a guy whose stat line reads like a grocery list of missed opportunities. Let's also talk about the younger generation of fans, the ones the NFL is desperate to win over. They don't care about old-school playbooks or vanilla pressers. They want stars. They want drip. They want quarterbacks who show up on Bleacher Report and House of Highlights. You think any of them are tuning in for Dillon Gabriel? Come on. This is a PR nightmare disguised as a depth chart. And the worst part? Shadur is not even stirring the pot. He's staying quiet. Showing up, working hard, doing everything a rookie is supposed to do. That's what makes this even harder to stomach. He's not demanding the spotlight. The spotlight is chasing him. And the Browns are trying to outrun it. But you can't outrun momentum. You can't slow roll a cultural wave and expect fans not to notice. We're watching a kid who should be the face of this rebuild, who's already got the audience and the athleticism, sit behind a quarterback who lost fans with every snap. The Browns' refusal to lean into Shedeur's marketability feels like a franchise terrified of its own potential. Like they're afraid that if they embrace what they've got, they'll lose control of the narrative. But guess what? The narrative's already out of their hands. This isn't about QB development anymore. This is about business. This is about who puts butts in seats, eyes on screens, and dollars in pockets. And Shadur Sanders? He's doing all three from the bench. So here we are, viewership down, fans furious. Haslam reportedly blindsided. Meanwhile, Sanders trends without even playing. The NFL doesn't just need him on the field. They need him featured, promoted, leaned into. Because if they don't, he'll go somewhere that will. Tick-tock, Cleveland. Your star is waiting. The fans are waiting. The world is watching. How long are you going to pretend you don't see what's right in front of you? Brands that were once itching to partner with Cleveland, hoping to slap their logo on the team that drafted the most talked-about rookie in the country, are now asking questions. Why isn't Shedeur playing? Is there a plan? Is he really QB4? Or is this a textbook case of a franchise fumbling a generational marketing opportunity? You see, when you draft a Sanders, you're not just drafting a football player. You're onboarding a media ecosystem, a full-stack empire of attention, credibility, and influence. And what do brands love more than talent? Visibility. Shedeur was the visibility. The moment he was benched, those engagement charts tanked. Merch sales slowed. Local media lost juice. National coverage shifted to teams who knew how to ride the wave instead of fight it. Suddenly, the Browns, who had a spotlight handed to them on a velvet tray, looked like they didn't want it. Let's go deeper into that. Why didn't they want it? Well, some folks inside the league are whispering the word that nobody wants to say out loud. Control. Shedeur, unlike many rookies, came into the league already established. Nil money? Already stacked. National endorsements? Already landed. Family name? Iconic. Social media presence? Bigger than some entire teams. And for an old-school franchise like Cleveland, that's scary. They didn't build Shedeur Sanders, so they're scared they can't control him. And if you can't control your star, then what's left? That's the question keeping GMs and owners up at night. But here's the twist. Shedeur has never shown signs of being difficult to manage. He's not loud in interviews. He's not demanding plays go through him. He's not calling out teammates. He's quiet, disciplined, a student of the game. Everything you want in a young QB, plus a built-in fan base. It's not that Shedeur is out of control. It's that the Browns are trying to contain something that doesn't need to be contained. So instead of unleashing the phenom, they've decided to protect the system. Keep Gabriel at the top. Stick with tradition. Run it back with guys they've invested in, regardless of performance. And that's where it starts to feel less like coaching strategy and more like ego preservation. You know what happens when coaches and GMs start prioritizing being right over doing what works. They lose games. They lose fans. And eventually, they lose their jobs. Let's swing over to the locker room because, oh yeah, that's cracking too. Players know who's got the juice. You think the defense doesn't feel a shift in momentum when Shedeur's in the huddle? You think wide receivers don't run routes a little cleaner when they know the ball's coming on time and in stride? Veteran guys might keep their mouths shut in public. But behind the scenes, that unity is wearing thin. Some are Team Shedeur. Some are backing the coaches. But almost no one is truly sold on Gabriel anymore. Not after those misreads, those floaty picks, those fumbles under pressure. And now Shedeur has become a symbol inside the team, not just a change, but of what's possible. Every moment he spends off the field is a reminder to those guys that doing everything right, training hard, staying focused, showing up, still might not get you where you deserve to be if the system is rigged. You don't think that erodes morale? That mentality spreads fast. It's the kind of energy that makes guys check out mentally. Start thinking about their next team, their next opportunity. It's subtle, but it's real, and it's happening right now inside that Browns facility. Meanwhile, the media circus is heating up. Reporters are starting to poke. Why isn't Shedeur playing more? Is this a development issue or a trust issue? How does the team explain the drop in viewership since his benching? And the answers, They're getting weaker by the week. We're going with a hot hand. We're developing him gradually. He needs more time with the first-team reps. Come on. That's not football logic. That's PR filler. If Shedeur was just another rookie, nobody would care. But he's not. He's the most-watched rookie in the NFL. And the league has noticed. Let's be honest, too. The NFL needs him just as much as the Browns do. League execs saw those 2.2 million viewers. They saw how Shedeur's debut broke into mainstream culture, beyond sports. The league thrives on characters, icons, personalities. They've spent years desperately trying to replace the buzz of Brady, Rodgers, even Mahomes when he's not electric. Shedeur is ready-made for that spotlight. He brings culture, he brings new fans, and he brings money. Every week he doesn't play is a missed opportunity for the league. Not just Cleveland, the league. You don't think they're already in Haslam's ear? And let's talk about Shedeur's team off the field. His management, his brand team, his dad. These aren't people who sit around and wait. They're planners, strategists. They knew this kind of conflict was very possible when he entered the draft. And if Cleveland keeps wasting this window, don't be surprised when trade whispers turn into formal requests. You think Shedeur's team won't make that call? They've got leverage. Public opinion is on their side. The ratings support them. The entire football world is saying the same thing. Let him cook. And still, silence from the Browns. Maybe they're hoping this whole thing dies down. But it won't. Not when every throw Shedeur doesn't get to make is reposted on Twitter with, "Why is he not starting?" captions. Not when opposing fans are begging their teams to make an offer. Not when Cleveland's own fans start showing up to games in Sanders jerseys. While he's still riding the bench. The more this drags out, the worse the optics become. So what now? Maybe the Browns come to their senses. Maybe they stop trying to outsmart common sense. Maybe they pull the plug on the experiment that is Dillon Gabriel and finally roll out the guy who's already proven he can lead, perform, and put this team on the map. Or maybe they double down. Keep Shedeur sidelined. Keep bleeding viewership. Keep pretending that the most obvious move in franchise history is somehow too risky. But here's what they can't control. The fans. The pressure. The media heat. The next team already drawing up jersey mock-ups with Sanders on the back. Because Shedeur isn't just a rookie quarterback anymore. He's a movement. And Cleveland? They're either going to lead it or get run over by it. Now here's something no one's talking about. This Shedeur Sanders saga isn't just about football. It's about identity. For years, the Cleveland Browns have been clawing their way out of irrelevance, trying to rewrite their legacy from lovable underdogs to serious contenders. And for one fleeting moment, they had that rewrite in their hands. The irony? It came in the form of a fifth-round draft pick, quiet, efficient, viral. Shedeur Sanders was never supposed to be the centerpiece. He wasn't the guy analysts had circled. He wasn't the flashy first-rounder with a hype reel and SportsCenter soundbites. He just showed up, and immediately, the entire ecosystem shifted. The Browns became appointment television. The problem? The people upstairs weren't ready for it. Not emotionally, not organizationally. Because when Shedeur Sanders stepped on that field, he didn't just light up the scoreboard. He threatened the hierarchy. See, football, especially in older franchises like Cleveland, is about structure. Veterans lead. Rookies wait. It's not just a system. It's a culture, one that prides itself on earning your spot the hard way. Grit, time, dues paid. But Shedeur broke that mold, not because he disrespected it, but because he was too good, too fast, too soon. And in places like Cleveland, that's not just unexpected. It's uncomfortable. There's something deeply threatening to institutions when someone like Shedeur disrupts the script. He didn't come through the back door. He came through the front with poise, polish, and yes, power. And power? That changes everything. When fans start chanting your name before you've even taken a regular season snap, you're not just a player anymore. You're a movement. You're an energy. And that energy either gets embraced or shut down. Guess which route Cleveland chose? And that's where things get dangerous. Because now, This isn't just about quarterback rotations. This is about control. Who gets to shape the story? Who gets to say when it's time? Right now, the Browns are trying to hold the pen. But Shedeur, he's already halfway through the first chapter. Let's talk economics. Because whether football purists want to admit it or not, this is a business. And right now, Shedeur is the Browns' most valuable asset. The merch spike from his debut alone nearly outsold Gabriel's entire collegiate jersey run. His name trends even when he's not playing. Local businesses, booming when he's on the roster. National TV ratings, up, way up. Social impressions, off the charts. You know who else sees that? Agents, sponsors, network execs. They're already circling, waiting, wondering if Cleveland is going to wake up before it's too late. And here's the wildest part. Shedeur hasn't even started cooking yet. Everything we've seen so far, it's the appetizer. We haven't even gotten to the 2-minute drills, the comeback wins, the primetime lights. He hasn't had that moment yet, the kind that quarterbacks live for, the kind that cements legacies and fills trophy cases. But everyone feels it coming. You think teams like the Rams, Patriots, or Falcons haven't noticed. You think they wouldn't trade a mid-tier pick and a backup guard just for the chance to unlock that potential? They're already game planning. Not just how to defend him, but how to acquire him. And if you don't believe that, you haven't been paying attention to this league. Because when it comes to quarterbacks, timing is everything. Let's shift gears and talk locker room. Not from a drama standpoint, but from a psychology standpoint. There's a different energy in teams that believe in their quarterback. It's sharper, more focused. Guys fly faster the ball. Blocks hold longer. Routes snap cleaner. That belief, it's earned in the huddle. And right now, every moment that Shedeur is sidelined, that belief is put on pause. Players are professionals. They won't say it on record, but they talk. And when they say things like, we just need a spark, or whoever gives us the best shot should be out there, it's code. It's subtle, but it's real. And nothing kills morale faster than watching the guy who could be that spark sit on the bench because of politics. Let's zoom out even more. This situation is a microcosm of the modern NFL. The league isn't just evolving, it's mutating. It's TikTok clips and wrist flex memes. It's 24/7 content cycles. Players are influencers. Games are live events and brand vehicles. It's not just about yards and touchdowns. It's about who moves the needle. And Shedeur, he doesn't just move the needle. He is the needle. Which brings us to the real question. What exactly are Browns afraid of? Are they worried about locker room politics? Veteran egos? PR backlash if the experiment fails? Because let's be honest, failure is already knocking. Gabriel's turnovers, the broken drives, the missed timing with receivers. If this is a safe plan, then they're already deep in unsafe waters. And the fans? They've seen enough. They're not just disappointed. They're offended. Offended that the most exciting player to wear brown and orange in a decade is being buried under a stack of cliches about readiness and development. Offended that their team is playing not to win, but not to lose face. Offended that the NFL's most explosive rookie isn't even allowed to fail on his own terms. And most of all, they're offended that once again, the Browns seem more committed to protecting pride than building a contender. Which leaves one final question. What happens when the pressure finally breaks? Does Shedeur demand a trade? Does Haslam intervene? Do the coaches finally cave to reality? Or do we get the worst-case scenario? The Browns watching a star they already get poached by a team willing to bet on brilliance? Because here's the truth. Talent like Shedeur's doesn't wait forever. And if Cleveland doesn't step up, someone else will. And when they do, the Browns will be watching those highlight reels from afar, wondering how they let the future slip through their fingers. Again, the rumors, they're getting louder. That he's frustrated. That he wants change. That Andrew Berry, the GM who drafted Shedeur in the 5th round against Haslam's wishes, may actually end up being right. That kind of indication, it comes with consequences. If Shedeur explodes the minute he's given the reins, the entire front office narrative changes. Suddenly Berry's a genius, and Stefanski's a stubborn coach who couldn't adapt. So what does Stefanski do? Stick to his guns and ride this outdated veteran's first philosophy into a potential firing? Or pivot, admit he misread the room, the player, the moment, and let Shedeur loose? The clock is ticking. The NFL doesn't wait, and neither do quarterbacks who know they're ready. Somewhere deep in Shedeur's camp, whether it is agent, his family, or even Deion himself, you can feel the calculations starting. How long is too long? How long do we wait before we start looking elsewhere? Because if Shedeur becomes the future face of another franchise, a team bold enough to give him the shot he's earned, you better believe Cleveland will never hear the end of it. And for fans, that sting won't fade. They felt the shift when he played. They saw something different, an energy, a presence, a kind of command that doesn't show up on stat sheets. And if that gets traded away, it's not just a fumble. It's a franchise-level mistake. But the beauty of this moment, the Browns still have a chance to get it right. They can still pivot, still lean into the chaos, still give the fans what they want. Not for ratings, not for headlines, but because Shadur Sanders is ready. And everyone knows it. So the real question isn't, can Shedeur handle the pressure? The real question is, can Cleveland handle what happens if they don't play him? Because if they wait too long, they won't be watching the rise of superstar. They'll be watching a highlight reel from somewhere else, thinking about what could have been,